All right. I have with me Matt and Iris from ArmaGoogle. Hello, Matt and Iris. How you doing today?
Great. How are you,
Great.
Christina?
Oh, running around. It's like this year we decided to do the Q&As before the festival actually begins so that we can kind of like have people who are attending the festival watch the Q&As, before. And so it's great because it's going to be available and people can kind of check out this, Q&A either like before the festival starts. So they could be like, oh, yeah, Matt and Iris, they talked about the film. Like maybe I want to go check out their film, or like they can check out like the Q&A afterwards after seeing your film, and they could be like, oh, okay, well, I want to see what they have to say about it and like learn more about the background behind it. So that's why we're here. Introduce us to yourselves. Tell us a little bit about yourselves and let us know who came up with ArmaGoogle and how you both collaborated together, or how you guys like got together to create this.
So my name is Iris Disla. I am an actress and producer. It's very interesting story, but I was actually on my way to a networking event, and Matt was my Lyft driver.
No way. Where was this?
In LA.
Of course it's in LA. I feel like these stories happen in LA all the time. That's so cool. Uh-huh.
So at that time, we're both from the East Coast, and he told me he's a writer, and I was like, oh, I'm an actress and I've been living here. I don't remember how many years. Was that 5 years ago?
Yeah, that was like 5 years ago that this happened.
Yeah. So basically, I was like, I'm looking for a writer, and I was like, I'm sure you've heard that before, but I'm from New York, and I promise I will call you back. And I did, and it was for another project, and that didn't work out. And then I came up with ArmaGoogle, which was just randomly one day
Google stopped working.
Google stopped working for me on the walk. And I just really needed an answer for something, and I couldn't find it right then and there. And then I just kept thinking, imagine what would happen if Google just crashed for one day. Like, for me, it's just, I don't know, a few minutes or whatever that was. And I was like, I can't get the answer to what I need this moment. So that's when I started thinking of all these ideas of like how people could be affected in so many different ways, because Google is not just Google. There's Google Drive, there's Google Hangout, there's
your email.
Yeah, there's Gmail, there's so many things, so that's where this was born from, because it literally, for me, all the time, whenever I have any questions, that's where I go to. So
Yeah. And so I'm Matt Flanagan. I am a screenwriter and then produced and acted in ArmaGoogle along with Iris. And she brought the idea to me after that other project didn't work out. She was like, oh, I have this other idea. Like, what if Google went down? And then it kind of became the end of the world. So I created a script off of that just to kind of like lay the foundation in the world. And then we just played with it from there. Like, it actually, the first script I wrote was like a satirical trailer, as if it was like ArmaGoogle was like its own movie, like sort of thing. And that was like how it started. But then we shifted it because that was a little bit too much like a sketch, and we wanted to make it a little more of a short. So we changed it a bit, and went through a lot of revisions and a lot of years of work. We filmed this like in, I think, December 2018. And it just, there were a bunch of different hurdles that came up, and things in our life, people we were working with, all that, and it just kind of delayed. But then it was kind of nice that it finished so long after the pandemic, because a little too close to home parts of it, like if it was like right after the pandemic. So it gave us a nice little break, and I think it all worked out in the end. So
That's great. And just like from a programming perspective, and I'm sure you'll hear this a lot too, your film is just so easy to program because it's so short, and I just feel like, we used to have, before we went virtual, we were actually like physically in a theater. We were at like the AMC, Metreon in downtown San Francisco. And just when I was putting together films to program, like for when we were actually physically at a theater. You know, it's like if your film was like, I don't know, like 12 minutes or even like, 15 minutes, it would be so much harder to program than your film right now. You know, it's so short, right? So
Yeah, that was part of our plan.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to keep it short just because, the subject matter, and with it being a comedy, there's only so many jokes you can make about Google going down before it just like, law of diminishing returns. So we wanted to keep it short, but then when we were in the editing process and like finally we're like, all right, we have to keep it like a certain length just because it's quick and like you can really throw us into any block and like people won't even notice that there's an extra film there and then they'll just be happy to see ours. So
Yes. So with both of you all, before you guys connected and partnered together on this project, what were some other projects that you both, have worked on just individually?
Well, I've worked on a lot of projects as an actress, but producing wise, this is my first one.
Oh, it's your first. Oh, that's awesome. That's great.
yeah, it's
So have you,
my first
yeah.
production as well. So we
Yeah.
Okay.
well, both of us had never produced before.
So, okay, because this was the first project that you all produced, you all are actually probably going to be in good company because a lot of our tech audience, our tech professionals, they have their tech job and they're interested, maybe in filmmaking and in acting, but they've never ventured out in this direction. So because you both had this experience where this was like the first project you ever produced, what were some things that you learned and took away from this project? Like, what were some things that surprised you? Some things where you're just like, oh gosh, I should not do that next time.
There's a lot. For me, I mean, not one of the biggest takeaways, but definitely an important one was because I was producing and acting. And I didn't want to do anything else other than that because I said, I don't want to try to do everything. I want to make sure that this is good before anything else.
Yeah.
Instead of just taking the credit, like I did it all, So one of the things that I really learned is to put myself first because I didn't. I made sure that everyone else was taken care of. And when it came to my scene and my location, I didn't secure that location. And it was definitely a very good learning lesson because like I was like really made sure that everyone was like taken care of, and filming that scene was very challenging in many different ways because before I even got to the location, the crew had already gotten kicked out.
Oh my gosh.
So we needed to find another location. And then the actress that was working with me in that scene had to go to work. So we only had an X amount of time to film this. So that was like, okay, I can never do that again. So definitely that. And I mean, there's a lot of things I'm trying to think if you have something and you want to go, I'm trying to think like what else.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
that was one of the biggest takeaways.
I mean, for me, I think there's two major things. I think number one is that nothing is going to go as planned. Like literally nothing is going to go the way you expect it. So like just be ready to adapt, and like you can still do what you want. It's just going to be slightly different than the way you imagine it. And if you get stuck on this vision of this is how it's going to be, it's not going to turn out like good in the end. Basically, like, there's things I wanted to do a certain way that we ended up doing it more Iris's way and vice versa, and that like actually ended up making it the best possible thing instead of us both following our own vision. And then the other thing for me is just like surrounding yourself with very talented, good people who are also flexible and open. Like our director, Julian, who he's actually a professor at USC and he was stuck on campus, so he couldn't make this one, but he was incredible in helping us through the process because he has a lot more experience than we do in terms of producing things and like his directing experience and all that. So any questions we had for him, and a bunch of other people that helped out, like our assistant AD Nason and like the whole cast, like everybody was just great with us coming to them and being like, hey, I've never done this before, like, do you have advice on this individual thing? Or just being able to lean over into people's expertise. Like our composer was great, and we were like, we kind of want this, but like do it your way first, and then we'll see if you see something we don't. And then he did, and he would bring his own thing to it. So yeah, great people and not getting stuck on a vision. Because I actually, like, similar to what you're saying with the tech people, I worked in finance in New York before I came out to LA. So
Oh my
I
gosh.
did that for 8 years, and then just decided to make writing a career. So it was, before this, there I had a couple other smaller projects that I filmed and worked on, but this is kind of the first major thing. So it's like you just you got to learn as you go.
Oh my gosh. Crazy. So crazy.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, like, I think staying flexible, being open, it's really important. And I think as an artist, if you don't have that, you're very hard to work with. And I think we all did a good job as a team, with the crew and everything, to try to meet each other halfway, to see each other's vision. And I think, yeah, this took a long time to film, but also we were mindful of like trying things your way, my way, having the director in between and go like, what about this way? So I think
Mhm.
that was helpful. So I think staying open and flexible for sure.
How did you both get connected to the director of the project?
So he went to school with me in New York. We went to the same school,
Okay.
to Stella Adler, and he was a year before me. So I had met him there, and we all moved to LA at some point after graduating. And yeah, I just thought of him, and yeah, like he's a really good friend. So we wanted to have someone, again, like we really wanted to make a really good project that wouldn't take away from what we were trying to convey. So that's why I wanted to bring people that had experience to do this.
And I think that East Coast connection that we all have kind of helped us, like, because we're just, we're very straightforward and like practical and pragmatic with things. And it's like, no, like, actually, I don't think that's going to work. And like, here's why. And everyone was okay with taking that feedback and like going with it, instead of having to like tiptoe around like
Yeah.
how you're going to go about it, how to do this. It's like, sometimes it's like, no, this just doesn't make sense because there's a very clear reason why. And everyone's like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like, let's do it another way.
That's true.
Awesome. That's so good. So Matt, you were working in finance for a really long time. So what made you just quit your day job to move out to LA? I feel like that's like a really, really big life change.
Yeah, I mean, it was a long process before I was comfortable enough to actually do that. Like I would, like I said, I was in finance for like 7-8 years. I was in financial services consulting for a while. And I was like, I know I want to get into entertainment in some way, but my skill set's all in finance. And I don't really want to just like go to an entry-level job where I'm taking a huge pay cut. So I went to a startup company that was like a music technology company that I worked in their finance and operations department. So like I used what the skills I had and that was like kind of my bridge to entertainment. And I did have to take like a decent pay cut for that one. And I was like, you know what, this still isn't even what I want to do. Like I actually want to write, because I was doing that as a hobby, like in the background. And I was like, that's what I really want to do. So let me just actually go for it. And I just kind of lucked out in the timing of it, that like it was one of those sort of like stars align moment. I was thinking about moving to LA, talking to some friends that I knew from high school that lived out here. And I was like, what are rent prices like? I'm thinking of like quitting my job and taking a year off to write. Like, will I be able to afford it? Like, what's all this? They're like, actually, like, we're moving into a 3-bedroom in Venice, and like, we're looking for a roommate. Like, if you're going to be moving in the next couple of months. I was like, yeah, like this makes sense.
Yeah, this is like meant to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I came out and then, took a couple classes, seminars, started just like took a year off just writing to get momentum on that. And then, I have like a retail job to pay the bills and like continuing to do the writing. But yeah, that was the kind of the thing. And just, it's weird, like the East Coast, I feel like it's just a lot of very traditional jobs, and like writing creative fields aren't really seen as careers necessarily. So like it took me a while to get my head thinking differently. And then once I did that and moved out here, then it's like, everybody's doing that out here. So it's just kind of you fit in. And then the finance thing is then like the unique experience that I have because everyone else is in entertainment. So
Well, I feel like the finance thing can really come in handy when you're from like a producer side, because you kind of like get a good handle on budgets, right? And if like later on down the line you get into like features and you go into like, talking with potential investors on projects, like what the return on investment looks like. I feel like all of that, you can kind of hone in on your like finance skills,
Yeah.
to kind of like step in there.
100%. And that's another learning lesson from having done this, that like, as much as I don't want to do that anymore, like I'm good at that stuff, so I should do it. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
I was like in the beginning of the project, I was just kind of like, you know what, I don't really want to like do any of the money stuff. Like, I don't want to like create spreadsheets because that's just like what I do all the time. And then
Yeah.
like what I had been doing. And then we got to a certain point in the project where it was like, you know what, like I should just like put all this together, like do that. And because it comes easily to me at this point, because I did it for so long. And then now even with like future projects, I've found that I can do that pretty easily. Like the video I have for pitching at the festival, I already put together like a budget sheet for that and like all that, because it's just, yeah, it's honestly even weird, like because my mind thinks that way, like even when I'm writing my like storyboards, instead of being like post-it notes, I actually have like Excel charts that I use so that way I can like, label every note with what scene I'm working on and then filter it on the scene. And like,
Such a finance guy.
Yeah.
So interesting.
It works. Yeah. It works for me. It works for like no one else, but like it works for me. And it's a good extra skill set to have especially when you're trying to make your own stuff. Cause then I have a good idea of like, how numbers work and what you need to do to stay on budget and all the things to do with that. So.
Yeah. And Iris, you came from the East Coast as well. Like, what was that transition like to go from the East Coast to the West Coast?
It was a lot of slowing down. For sure. When I've already been here 10 years.
Oh my gosh, crazy, 10 years.
Yeah, but it was a lot of slowing down. I was coming from theater, so transitioning into film. And just everything from like adapting to winter to like now being sunny and beautiful every day. But yeah, no, it was, I would say it was an easy transition, if I have to say, because it was more comfortable in every way. So yeah.
And it's incredible though, just like how you both are so open to the point where, you take a lift and you end up meeting each other. Like, what was that conversation even like? Just as kind of like as like a tip or something that people watching can kind of take away from like next time they get into like a ride share.
I mean, honestly, for me, it was just like nice that someone wanted to talk, because it gets really boring when you've been driving for like 8 hours. And like I said, we started talking about the East Coast because like we had things in common. So there were just like there's a lot of overlap. And so we had like a lot of mutual interests from the same place, like all that, just talking friendly. And then the fact that somebody was willing to actually take that to another level. Like a lot of LA, you'll have those nice conversations and it's like, we should totally collaborate on something. We should do this, we should do that. And then you reach out to the person and they just like never respond. And because I had that driving for Lyft, I had a lot of people, like I had this one woman that was like, I want you to write my like biography. Like I have this amazing story, like gives me all her info. Like I reach out and she like, then just nothing. And it's like, well, then why'd you you don't need to lie about it. Like
I know exactly.
But it's like that's where like everyone they want to keep their options open in LA and do it, but this was a much more genuine connection. And I think that's, for me, that's what it really comes down to. Is like, you can tell when people are being fake, you can tell when they're being genuine. And like the fact that we actually had a genuine thing made it something that we both wanted to actually work together and pursue it and do it further.
So Iris, what was your take on the whole like situation? You like got in, it's like, I don't know where you were coming from or where you were going, but what was your take on that? Like,
so he picked me up at my place here in Santa Monica and I was heading to Sony Studios for
an audition.
No, I wish.
I was like, yeah.
It was for a VR gaming 5 years ago, I think. So it was kind of pretty new. And I'm really into like the whole VR thing. So I was really excited about it. And you know, I didn't think anything of it. I don't remember what was the first thing I asked. I think I probably said, I think I just said like, hey, how's your night? Because usually for me as a customer in Lyft or Uber, like usually is the other way around. Like
Yeah.
the driver is asking me questions. Sometimes
Yeah.
I don't want to talk right now, like because maybe I'm doing something or something like that. And he wasn't trying to like be extra or anything. He was just like doing his job.
He was
And
just driving, being quiet.
yeah, and I was like, I'm gonna ask him some stuff. So I was like, hey, how's your night? And then we started talking, and we bonded over the fact that he was from the East Coast. I think that's what opened the door to everything.
Yeah.
And I really like to make it a thing that if I reach out to someone about any sort of collaboration or anything, just to go through with it, because I know I've had a lot of those experiences that Matt just described. So even
Me
if
too. I used to live in LA all the time.
yeah,
Oh yeah, I'll call you. We should hang out. And then like
right,
nothing.
so exactly. So I always make it a thing, especially if you're coming from the East Coast. I think that that's a little bit kind of like a lot to take in when that happens, because that doesn't happen over there that often. So yeah, I just made it like something that I had to follow through with it, regardless whether it was him or anyone else. I usually do so, because the worst thing is just either not to get an answer back or to just, you know, stay waiting, hoping that it is.
You're like, I'm gonna just reach out to him just to prove a point. And
Yeah.
Yeah, this whole thing was just out of spite. Like that was the whole reason that this happened. I was like, yeah, she's not gonna call me. She's like, no, I'm gonna do it. Like,
Yeah. I'm gonna show you the real people in LA. No, I'm kidding. No. But yeah, no, I think it's more like of a respect kind of thing. As an artist, is really hard, because you always see that opportunity as like, oh, maybe this is the person. Not that I was that, but you know, it's like it's an opportunity, and you never know. So, you know, yeah.
That's great. Okay, so for both of you all, because this was your very first project, I saw Matt's pitch video on, you know, the basic bitch, right? I am literally a basic bitch. It looked so hilarious and funny. So Iris, like, I know that Matt, that's one of the projects that you're working on. Like, Iris, are you working on any projects? Like, what's next for you both?
So I love creating stuff, and on my phone I have probably, oh, you can't see my phone from there, but I have so many
Ideas?
different, I guess you were able to see it, but I have so many notes of so many different projects that I want to work on. Right now I'm looking for a writer.
Yeah.
So that's the next one that I have coming up, and it's going to be a feature.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just looking for writers.
So, okay, here's the thing. So for our festival this year, we actually incorporated a screenwriting component, and we've never done this before. And the reason why we did it was because whenever we did speed networking in the past, there were a lot of really great conversations that happened between tech professionals and like filmmakers, like the filmmakers that were accepted. And, you know, the tech professionals would hear about this amazing idea and they'd be like, oh my gosh, like send me the script when you have it. And the script just never got sent. And so it was kind of like a missed opportunity, right? Because like, you know, you have this connection with somebody and like there's this momentum. And the next thing is like, oh yeah, send me the script. Let's see what we can do. Like, let's do this. And then it's just like, it just kind of stalls, right? Because a lot of these filmmakers aren't writers, you know, they have ideas, you know, of things that they want to do. They have connections with like crew on and producing like, and how to make it happen, but it's not like the actual physical process. So because of that, I was like, okay, we're going to throw a screenwriting component in here. And this year we're going to have something called the Screenwriter Showdown. And we've never had this done before. So basically, like of the screenwriters that submitted their scripts, there were some scripts that were quarterfinalists, and there were the top 3 screenwriters, right? So now what we're going to do for, you know, the invitation was extended to all of our screenwriters. If they want to participate, they now have the ability to, and it's going to take place next next Thursday. And, you all, as a filmmaker, you guys have the VIP all access passes. So you can attend all of the events, on top of like seeing all of the films that were accepted on demand. But the part that's, I think, the real value for our festival are the events that we put on. The biggest one being the speed networking event with the tech professionals, right? Because where else are you going to be able to meet like these people who work in tech, right? Like, unless they, sit in your lift and then you guys have a conversation, but maybe they won't follow up with you. You know what I mean? So it's like, but the thing is, like, with the screenwriting showdown, it's going to be next Thursday. It's going to be from 4 to 6 Eastern time, right? So it's going to be 1 to 3 Pacific time. And what's going to happen is they're going to be, I think we have like 4 or 5 screenwriters right now that have agreed to do this. So you're going to see them. They're going to share their screen. They're going to have final draft or whatever, script writing software they use. We're going to give them a prompt to write on, right? And we're going to give them 1 hour to write on the prompt. And then at the end of that hour, the people in the audience who are just there, right? They're going to be able to go in, they're going to read everything that these screenwriters put, and then they're going to be able to vote for whoever the winner is, right? And in an hour, we're going to tell them about 5 pages, right? So like try to do, like more than 3. So it's like between 4 to 6 pages, right? Try staying within that, that limit. And then whoever ends up winning, we're going to transfer over to like a virtual stage, and we're going to have a table read of like, whichever like scene or story like ends up winning. And that, I think, for filmmakers like yourself, Iris, who are looking for writers, this, I think, is a really, really good way for you to kind of see the style of these scripts. And you actually all can see the top 3 scripts, because we actually did a table read of the scripts, and it's going to also be available in the video on demand section. So you can kind of see some of like 3 of the stories that were chosen, the top 3. I mean, they're long, obviously, because like a script is like 100 pages, right? So it's like an hour and a half, like 2 hours, it's like a movie, it's like a feature film, but like you get to see the table read, and you get to just like, it's nice to just have it on in the background and do something else, but like you're listening to the story, right? And yeah, I mean, the hope, for us having this event is so that, the screenwriters can also network and collaborate with filmmakers and producers and maybe even tech professionals in the future. Because, a lot of people have ideas, but, not all of us are equipped with the skills to be able to translate it, on paper into a story.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that, because that's definitely something I'll be interested in taking a look at. So yeah.
Awesome. And so, yes, like for everybody, at the end of this week, I'm going to be sending you all like information specifics on, how to access our, our virtual village and how to redeem your VIP tickets. And we're just going to also include like a schedule of the events, just so you can mark your calendars for it. But yeah, I mean, I'm really happy for both of you guys to be here. And, Iris, you said that you had a whole bunch of ideas that you're always thinking about. Is there like one that kind of like stands out above the rest?
Well, the one that I'm specifically looking a writer for right now is a feature, and it's something that's really close and personal to me, like that I really want to get done as soon as possible, because I feel like, when you're not a writer and you can't get that idea on a paper immediately, what happens is that all of a sudden, like your drive for that idea starts going down, because I'm already thinking about another idea, and then that becomes the number 1 idea. So that's why I'm like, I have to, and that's what happened with ArmaGoogle, because I had other things written down that I wanted to film, and what made me like just do it is just like, this is what I'm really feeling at this moment, and I have to go through with it, because if not, I will go on to the next idea. So right now, what I'm working on, and I draft everything, and of course I write a few pages of stuff, I just don't do any dialogue. So yeah. So this idea is about what would happen if you knew exactly when you were going to die, so the whole entire world as a whole. I don't know exactly how that's going to go. I've actually talked to Matt about it, and we've we've had conversations about this on the way to other film festivals. And the reason why I really want to do that is because I want to see how the world will interact with each other.
If they
So I would
knew.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, so I would like to get that message across. Like, how will you interact with a person if you know that they only have 3 days to live versus if you know you have 20 years to go or 50 or something like that. I think that's just so important, because I feel sometimes we walk around feeling like we're never gonna die, and
Yeah.
we don't know, it can happen any moment. So I think,
And then it's like all of a sudden you like get a cancer diagnosis and
yeah,
you're like
or
stage 4, you know, and
yeah,
it's just
yeah, anything
insane.
can happen, you know.
Yeah.
You
Or
walk
you can
out,
get hit by a car.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, you know. And I think, like, as a society, as a community, and just being, you know, in this world, like, I think if we were mindful of that, maybe we would treat people differently. If we just didn't walk around thinking like, oh, I'm gonna die when I'm 100 or something like that. I don't know. So yeah, that's just to keep it short. That's pretty much what it's about. Yeah.
I love that idea. I think it's such a great idea.
Thank you.
And I feel like it would just be so interesting for an audience member, right?
Yeah.
And then
Lots
so
of-
Matt, you know, I know that you have like, I'm literally a basic, it's very light, you know, very, very different vibe.
Yeah, that one, yeah, that one's just more of a quick comedy, but that's kind of what I wanted to do like next, just because I know I can get it done very quickly. Like obviously features take a longer time. What I really focus on writing wise though is writing features and romantic comedies specifically. So
You know, I feel like there's like a
that's kind of like,
comeback of romantic comedies.
yeah, I know, and that's I'm hoping to be part of it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm actually just about done with the feature script that I'm working on. Got like 2 scenes left, almost there, but
Why don't you talk about this
I,
when you're pitching?
well, I will. I just wasn't ready for, like, it wasn't in a place yet for a pitch video. Like that's why I was like, so I just went with that. But like, yeah, I 100% plan on talking about it.
Oh my gosh, you should
Yeah.
absolutely talk about it. So tell us a little bit about your romantic comedy.
So it's called If We're Still Single. And it's about 2 friends make this one of those agreements, like if we're still single at 35, we'll marry each other, sort of
Yeah.
thing. They hit 34 and they're still both single, but they're like, we don't want to marry each other. So they spend the next year teaming up to like find each other a significant other. And then at the end of the year, obviously they realize that they really love each other and, you know, end up together. But yeah, that's the general concept for it.
And you said you're almost finished with it.
Yeah, I'm hoping to be done in the next couple weeks. So
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Okay.
yeah, I've got that. That's the thing. As a writer, I've got scripts. Anybody that needs scripts, I've got them here ready to be made. So
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So tell everybody if they want to stay connected with you, you know, if they want to connect with you, Iris, you know, on your feature film, the idea of like, you know, when people are going to die, like if they want to connect with you on that, Matt, if they want to connect with you on the romantic comedy, or like I'm a basic bitch, or they just want to like connect with you both, or like, how do people find you on social media? Where are you?
So I am on Instagram, IrisD_25,
Okay.
or email just irisdisla@gmail.com.
Okay. I'm going to find you right now on Instagram just while I'm here. Okay. So you are Iris D
_25.
_25. Found you. Okay. And Matt, I see you. I think we're actually already connected because I'm following ArmaGoogle.
yep, yeah, Matt Flan 24, MattFlan 24.
Awesome. And then everybody can also follow the ArmaGoogle Instagram. It's ArmaGoogle. Is there any other social media that you both are on that you know, kind of want people to connect with you all through?
I have a DJ page, but I don't think it's related to any of this.
You're a DJ? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like house music DJ?
Yeah, house music. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any presence on any other social media. Like I'm on Twitter just to like for news, and like
Yeah.
I'm a big sports fan, so like all like sports news breaks like on
Oh,
Twitter.
totally.
So that's, yeah, but that's not really a place where I like connect with anyone. Instagram's the best, or then like, emailing me.
So if people send you DMs, like you do check your DMs, even though they're not connected with you, because they're in that other section when they reach out to you, right? So you do check those DMs if people were to reach out to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't have too many people like random DMs sliding in, but I will definitely check them.
Awesome. Okay, well, great. Well, you both, like, so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for sharing ArmaGoogle with us and spending some time to talk about yourselves and letting us get to know you both. And be sure to check out ArmaGoogle, everybody, on the video on demand. Yes.
And thank you for having us here, because
Yes.
yeah, it's a great opportunity. Anyone that's willing to show our stuff, we love. So
Yeah, no, I just want to say thank you so much for having us. This was so fun and incredible. I just want to say that one fun little thing that I found the festival by Googling it.
Did you?
Yeah, I was like, there must be a Silicon Valley film festival, and I Googled it, and like it was actually one of the last festivals we submitted to, because I don't think it came up on the film
Freeway.
Yeah, so it was an idea, and it was like we should Google it, and then I sent it over. So I thought that's like a fun little thing we should share.
I love, so appropriate. ArmaGoogle. See, if Google went down, you would have never found us.
Exactly. There you go.
So Google cannot go down. Well, great. Well, you two have a wonderful rest of the week, and I look forward to seeing you all at the festival next week.
yeah, me too. Thanks, Christina.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.